Folks, this morning I was watching Maria Bartiromo, and she had Alan Dershowitz, the Democrat legal analyst, strategist, professor, really smart guy, calls balls and strikes, even though he is a Democrat. Um, he had a little bit of information for us about what's going on with these college protests. Now, this exact same thing happened in the 60s. The communists, a lot of the communist factions, hate groups, and things helped fund the college students to protest the Vietnam War. That's where the Vietnam protests came from. And they weren't homegrown in the streets; they were manufactured directly from the colleges, like Berkeley. And that's exactly what's going on here with this outrage over the Israel, Gaza, Iran, Hamas terrorism situation. And no matter how you feel about where you stand on your politics of this whole situation, I just wanted to bring a little bit of light to it. A lot of these people do not know what they're protesting for or about. They're what I would call pamphlet protesters. All they know is they're going to hang out with their friends outside. There's a rally, there's a riot, there's a protest, and we got a pamphlet which we can read and find out what the protest of the day is. And I believe that's what's really going on in a lot of these situations. But I do also believe that means these people are easily influenceable and are an easy target for anybody that does want to recruit them into a terrorist organization or into some kind of radical ideology. A lot of weak followers out there, folks. There's no doubt about it, and I just hate to see them getting wrangled in like a cult with this crazy support, this crazy support of this terrorist movement. I don't understand it, but I do understand it has been funded probably by several groups and several people. And when I think of things like this, I think of the BLM riots and think of, well, who would fund the BLM riots? Well, it could be maybe some very wealthy black people that wanted to help their people. No, it was the George Soros types. It was the people that wanted to sow division in America. That's why a lot of the money flowed in for the Black Lives Matter movement to get it kick-started, even back in Obama's term. But I got a couple little video clips here for you folks, and there is a solution to all this. There is a full exposure happening with all the violence that we're seeing in the colleges. I've seen 6 or 7 articles today alone where the police are having to handle up on these people, dragging them by their feet, locking them up, zip tying them, dispersing the crowd by whatever means necessary. And I think it is necessary. If you're trespassing, you don't have a permit to protest, legally, you're breaking the law. Now, I do believe in free speech, but I don't believe in violence, if that's what you think your version of free speech is. But I'll show you a little bit of clip here of just the sheep, the idiots in the crowd just marching together, and I'm sure most of them really don't have any ideology of their own other than just to follow the leader. But the solution to this is everybody in America now knows not only are your kids being indoctrinated with the drag shows and the perverted books in the schools, that has become public knowledge now over the last couple of years. And at the same time, the colleges are full of woke college professors that do not love this country, that promote death to America and chant hate of America, and they're brainwashing these young, influenceable 20-year-old sheeple into just believing this garbage. America is not a racist country by nature. This country is not broken, but the ideology that these people are indoctrinating our young folks with is it's showing now, and the whole world sees it. Every American, when they go to vote, they're going to be thinking about this too. They're going to be thinking about, we got to get somebody in there that can fix this, because for the next 5 or 6 months, it's really on the colleges to fix it, because Joe Biden's not going to get involved. He just is not going to do it. So what I'm assuming will happen is Trump will get back in there and he will defund all federal money coming to the colleges on day one if they can't keep the peace there, if they can't protect the students there. That would be my very first weapon of choice, but there's a lot of things that can be done, including bringing out the National Guard if necessary, like that was done during the 60s. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do in order to squash a problem, but we cannot have professors training people how to hate each other as they cruise off into society and try to make their mark on the world. We don't need built-in hate, and we don't need indoctrination from anybody on this planet, especially when it comes to racism and these hateful ideologies. Anybody that supports terrorists today, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. And by God, I hope I don't find out you're acting on it, because it's wrong in every way possible. You should go to jail if you think that one race of people or another should be dead because of who they are. God will have his way with you. I'm nobody to get into the justice of anything, but I really hate to see this country be divided in so many ways, and now it's being divided in the utmost of ways. Do you love this country or do you hate it? And we're going to find out over the next several months how exposed this whole situation is going to be handled. How is the media going to handle it? How's the president going to handle it? How are the colleges going to handle it? How are the American people going to handle it at the voting booth? And so I think when Trump gets back in there in about 6-7 months, he's not only going to fix this problem, but he's going to fix it in such a way that they're held accountable from this point forward to help squash this infection that they've got going on in our school system. That's the best part of this whole situation. Let's go ahead and get into the videos.
Tax records show Tides granted Jewish Voice for Peace, which co-sponsored this protest, $650,000. $710,000 to the Adala Justice Project, which organized this demonstration on Capitol Hill. $86,000 to the group If Not Now, organizer of this protest outside the DNC. $38,000 to the Center for Constitutional Rights, which sued President Biden for failing to, quote, prevent genocide. $600,000 to the Mass Liberation Project, which accuses the U.S. of ethnic cleansing. And $132,000 to Westpac, sponsor of Students for Justice in Palestine, which organized this protest at Columbia.
You see the pattern here, folks? They've spent millions of dollars already in order to fund these protests. I'm talking about the tents, the flags, these people, the clothing, just the funding to get it done, to organize, putting out the pamphlets. All this stuff is not free. And definitely somebody's organizing it. And just my first thought was probably George Soros. And now we find out for a fact. Check it out, folks. Left-wing Democrat, political scholar, Alan Dershowitz. He calls balls and strikes like he sees them. That's one of the reasons I listen to him. When I'm trying to listen to anything about legal proceedings, like involving what's going on with Trump right now, I listen to, like, say, Jonathan Turley and Alan Dershowitz are two of the top legal minds as far as I'm concerned. But at any rate, he's calling out the truth about what's going on in this country, and I'm glad to see it. Every day that stuff like this gets put on the air is another day that somebody in America wakes up and realizes, I'm not sending my kids to that school. I'm not supporting a Democrat cause. I'm not voting for people that can't do anything to help fix this problem. And so I think we're going to have a great solution in the end, folks.
Groups funding the chaos. Many of these people are showing up with the same tent, same outfits. Yeah. Someone's funding it. So I want to know who you think is behind it. There's also, you just heard Carlos Jimenez talking about the Chinese Communist Party, which oftentimes the CCP jumps on our political conversations and tries to create discord in America.
There's no question about that, and Russia does too. And there's no question that organizations funded by George Soros and the Rockefeller brothers, take, for example, an organization called Jewish Voice for Peace. It has been behind many of these demonstrations. They're not Jewish, and they don't want peace. It's a fake organization. It's an old-line group of communists and anarchists that want to overthrow the United States government. These are people who support Iran. These are people who support China. These are people who support America's enemies. And they are funding much of this, as well as some Arab countries that are funding some of this. But these organizations are funded by George Soros and other organizations that help fund these academic and turn these useful idiots into protesters and eventually into terrorists. That's what terrifies me, because I know, I saw it. What happened to Kathy Boudin? She became a murderer. Then she was released from prison. Guess what happened to her? She was hired to teach students at Columbia University. She probably taught some of these people who are now demonstrating against America, down with America, death to America. Kathy Boudin and others who were terrorists, who stole protesters, became terrorists, then became teachers of future protesters. This is a much deeper problem than what's going on at Columbia University.
Like, subscribe, and share. Go to Patriots. Everybody have a great day. Over and out.